In this video, we'll see two ways of making copies of existing objects. One method creates new objects that are independent of each other, while the second method produces clones of the original, which react to any changes made to other objects in the same group. When we need one or two copies of an existing object, there are two main options for doing this. The first is to select the object to be copied, and then press Shift-D. This will create an exact duplicate of that object, and it will be positioned in the same space as the original. An additional entry is created in the Outliner editor for the new object, which is automatically placed in the Move state, so any movement of the mouse will also move our new object. If we want it to move in a particular direction, we need only press the axis letter X, Y, or Z. If you type the wrong letter by mistake, just type in the correct one next. Blender uses the last axis letter entered as the direction of the move. The axis set it moves along will be determined by the current transform orientation setting. For example, if we make a copy of this cube and wish to move it along the Z-axis, then pressing Z will move it along the global Z-axis if transform orientation is set to global, and along the local Z-axis if it is set to local. If we don't want the new object to move from its starting position, we can press the right mouse button or the Escape key. Of course, this means that the original object and its copy will occupy the same location. Don't make the mistake of thinking that pressing Escape has aborted the copy operation. It only aborts the move. Any copy made using Shift-D is entirely independent of the original. We can assign a material, rotate or resize either a copy or the original in object mode, or edit mode, and the other objects remain unaffected. There can be a downside to this operation because every object we create occupies computer memory known in Blender as a data block. So the more objects we create, the more data blocks we require. If we go to the Outliner editor and expand the object name entry, we'll see the name of the data block assigned to that object. Another problem occurs if we want to make a modification to the original object and all its copies. We may need to perform the change to each object separately. A second way of creating a duplicate of the currently selected object is to press Alt-D. At first glance, this seems to perform the same job as Shift-D, since we end up with a copy of the original ready to be moved to a new location. The difference is that this time, the new object shares the data block with the original object. If we expand the details of objects created using Alt-D, we can see from the name that they share the same data block. If we change the color of any of these objects, the others will change too. And although we can change the size of one without affecting the others, this is only true when working in object mode. If we switch to edit mode, any change of size, shape, orientation, or position of one object also affects the others. When we've created a copy using either Alt-D or Shift-D and completed the automatically initiated move operation, the last op panel will offer us various options. The most important of these is Linked. This determines if the new object shares data with the original. It will be checked if we've used Alt-D when making our duplicate and unchecked if we've used Shift-D. But this checkbox allows us to switch between shared data and unshared data. Move gives the distance moved from the position of the original, and orientation overrides the axes set, given in the transform orientation. After the relevant last op panel has gone, we can still unlink objects that share a data block from the 3D viewport's main menu. After selecting the object to be assigned its own data block, the menu option required is Object Relations, Make Single User, then Object and Data and Materials. If we want to do things the other way round, creating shared data between objects that currently have independent data blocks, we need to select all the items involved. The object to whose existing data block is to be copied to the others should be selected last, making it the active object. Now we select the menu option, Object, Link Transfer Data, Link Object Data. Now they share the same data block and react in unison when assigned a material or modified in edit mode. Interestingly, the objects involved don't even have to be the same type of mesh. For example, here we have a cube, a UV sphere, and a cone. If we select all three, choosing the cone last, then pressing Ctrl L as an alternative way of displaying the Link Transfer Data submenu, and clicking on Link Object Data, this will transform the cube and sphere into cones. In the Outliner editor, they retain their original names, but we can see they use the same data block.